Kickstarter, and how much you have to pay, and how many miniatures you will get, and everything. They looks interesting. I have pieces here. I would like to show them just before to start, to give you a few seconds or few minutes, starting to decide what kind of things I will have to paint. Let me see, where is the other, let me a second. You can see my stove in there. Okay, I would like to show you the more or less the Kickstarter in general. Like, you have all that items to assemble your models as you like. For example, here you have more faces and things. I think you will get all that things on the Kickstarter. So you have many of them. The detail is that one. So I think it's nice. Let me see if I can show you with big zoom. Okay, so I think the quality is nice. So if you like them, you have many options. Okay, this is for someone that want to paint miniatures in general, or for people that they want to play Dungeons and Dragons or similar games, because you have many options to assemble as you like it. Okay, so there you have many options, and just that. Okay, I gave you few minutes just to decide what kind of miniature I have to, what kind of things I have to paint on that miniature, and nobody used the chat to tell me something. Okay, 46 viewers, only 29 likes, and nobody telling me on the chat what I have to paint. So what happened here? Please tell me something, or I will paint the face. If everybody is okay with the face, I will paint the face. Just that. Okay, there you have many options, as I show you. And I'm going to start painting the miniature. I'm going to put all that things in the box. And yes, I started a bit later because I was assembling the model. If someone have doubts about that, I was assembling. But my idea was starting at the time that I set on the stream. But I don't know why I forgot. Just press the last button to say starting. Okay, paint leather, paint face with wider, something. Face maybe. Okay, I'm going to paint the face, and I will start to do it with some. Okay, I'm going to start with a really dark color, and then I'm going to really dark color. No, I'm going to add really cold temperature for the face. For example, to give you more color recipes for skin tones but colder. It's something that I would like to play in general than what I'm painting models, playing with the temperatures. And why not? For him, I always think about a really cold and snow mountain, so maybe something like that for him could be really nice. So I'm going to paint the face with a cold temperature, with darker colors, and then I'm going to increase the value with more lighter colors. And the hair or the beard, I'm going to paint with some grays, like white hair, for example, something like that. I think could fit. Instead to use the typical oranges. Or maybe I can use the typical oranges if you want. Just tell me on the chat. What do you want for the beard and hair? More like oranges, like that kind of hair, or more like white, like older men? I think for an older man with white could be really nice for him. Paint a miniature. Okay, let me pick some colors. I have all of them completely safe on my studio. Okay, let me a second. I'm going to pick some of them and I'm going to back. Let me a second. Okay, I'm alive, so don't worry, I'm here. So everything is working, continue working, perfect. The idea for this, let me check 1 second my camera, because I'm not sure if I'm, okay, I'm really pale. When I'm here, I'm really pale. This is for the focus. Okay. I see the mode line there. I'm okay. Everything is working for that stream. Sounds like you watched my last video on YouTube. Never. That one will be like a damage. Don't worry. I'm going to pay like a damage at the end. I have that model with some things else like there. Okay, but like there. I didn't remove it well. Okay, I'm going to show you the colors that I would like to use, and I'm going to put on my wet palette. Okay, these are the colors that I'm going to use. Maybe it's a... I'll try to use colors like that for the skin. I'm going to show you all of them. I'm not sure if at the end I will have to pick another color, but in general I would like to play with that tonalities. Why I've decided to play with that colors? First, I would like to start with something darker like one of these. Okay. And then I will start going up with more pinks, purples, violets, something like that, maybe with more red. And if I need to desaturate something because it's too pinky, I will use something like that with greens inside. So if you compare with the other browns, you will see the differences, okay? This has reds inside and the other one more green. This is why it's so important to understand what kind of color do you have on your wet palette. It's really useful because many times, or in general, the people think like brown, it's okay, it's brown, so I can paint with brown and all the browns are exactly the same. Completely wrong. So you have to think about the temperature, the value, more things, not just brown. And for sure, the color. In that case, if you see, the temperature for sure changes because the color changing. Okay, so I will play more or less with that. And then for the beard, I'll play with something like that. Okay, for sure I will add final pure white if I need it, but at the beginning I will remove it from my color scheme. I would like to play with something like that. Why? Because if you don't play with white, at the end you have to use the values with all that colors, all these colors, to control the value, represent the white color, and then if you need to go up again the final highlighting, you have the possibility to increase with white. However, if you start adding white everywhere and you use too much white at the beginning, then the only way to increase the contrast is going down. Which one is harder to going up? Just for the miniature. If we are talking about a canvas, it's so not easy, but it's easier because the surface always is the same. But in a miniature, it's not always the same. The thinner places should be the darkest. And inside of the muscles or inside of the wrinkles or folds are harder to introduce the brush at the end than do it at the beginning. This is why I recommend you to do at the beginning. Kev, thank you for your words and thank you for everybody. More than 60 viewers now watching that stream. So thank you very much for all the people that want to enjoy, learn something, I hope something else, and just staying here. Remember, I would like to start a new story, a new step on my life, and I would like to work more on my YouTube channel. So if you can share with all your friends and say, hey, join to Sergio's Patreon or to Sergio's YouTube channel because it's nice, incredible, or it's okay, but just subscribe. I would like to enjoy here with all of you, and talking in another language, talking in English for me is harder, so I hope my English will be okay for you, and if not, just watching how I paint I think will be enough because it's an international language. or maybe not, because maybe in another countries you paint with different brushes, or I don't know. A lot of questions that you are asking me, it's what kind of brushes do you use? Always I'm answering about the brushes. I'm using Winsor & Newton. I didn't keep it in a secret, not like the hair dryer, which one I want to show you because it's my own hair dryer and I can show you, but never the brand. So because it's the brand is the key. So this is the reason why I don't want to show you my hair dryer. So I'm going to show you. So this is my hair dryer, okay? Is that one? So is this one? So I would like to show you, okay? Is this one, okay? Perfect. It's the perfect one. So I can show you the brand because everybody will use my hair dryer and then everybody will paint as me. So I can show you that I'm using that one, but not the brand, okay? So it's really, really helpful for everybody. There is the key, not in the water, it's on my hair dryer. It's important, okay? So it's the only secret that I'm going to keep for myself. The rest of them I'm going to say. And as you see, my brushes always are Winsor & Newton, number 1 and 2. Just that. I don't use 000 or things like that. That for me, my opinion. Then a lot of people is asking me exactly the same. Why you have that point? Why is so sharp? Because I'm using number 1 and number 2. This is the reason. Just that. The secret hair dryer. Chan chan chan. I have to check how to add memes here on the stream. I pam pam pam. Hello Nacho. Okay, I'm going to start to add color on my wet palette and starting painting. Okay, because some of you want to see how I'm painting. Just that, not just chatting as me, just for myself. I recommend you watch the last video tutorials that I'm uploading with Vanessa for sure. We are uploading, and she's the master of the video editing. She's really enjoying with the new editing for YouTube. It's just as we are, just that. So sharing our character, personality, just sharing with everybody, and this is how I am. And just that. Okay. First, I'm going to add Hal red, that one, plus a bit of maybe plus a bit of purple, maybe, yeah, plus a bit of purple. I'm going to add that one, purple. Okay, maybe I can add a bit more of soon, but I don't want to add too much because I would like to have a focused camera. Okay. The water. Important. Just to show you that I'm not a cheater. I'm using just the water, as you will see. I was seeing, not in miniature world, but in video games world, I was watching that a lot of people is using cheats. Sorry, I'm going to remove the water just for the mixes. It's using cheats on the online games. And I was, okay, I play video games, not a lot, because when I was young I played a lot, but now I don't have enough time. I would like to play more. But it's true that I didn't thought that too many people will use cheats. Okay, I added water there. Okay. And I was really surprised when I've seen that some people is using cheats on competitions. So they were in competition on LAN and they were using cheats. So I was really fascinated with that. I can imagine that the people was something like that. And other thing was like snipe streams or something like that. They use another screen to just to watch where is the enemy. Where is the here? Perfect. Where is the enemy and see everything just like cheats. So I was really fascinated with all that things. So don't worry, I want to cheat you. I'm going to use water when I have to use. And if not, I'm going to show you again. So here you have my water is completely clean. Okay. The idea is just use the colors without water. As always, I explain you, like many years and more people start to use my knowledge to paint. This is something fantastic because I'm really glad to see that more people want to use my secrets, my knowledge, and using it on their miniatures. So thank you for that, because there are a lot of big painters, and for me it's a pleasure that the people want to use my way to paint. As you see, I'm not worried about the layers. You see that if you are trying to cover in a black surface, this is what happened, and this is another reason why I use two primers, the white and black. And I have to say something about the primer, because I was doing a coaching last Friday and was really curious when my student told me that he used white ink for the primer. I'm really surprised with that, because I don't know who was the guy that said that wrong thing, because the primer is completely different than inks. So using inks as primer over black means like adding glossy varnish on your primer. And with your primer, you prime the models to stick then the acrylic and have some properties that you have to respect. If you remove them, so if you remove the pores that you created with the primer, it's like doing nothing. Just paint over on the plastic and just that. So it's the same that painting on the inks. So I was really surprised. It was that Friday, and I would like to say with everybody, just that. So maybe here someone in the chat will say, but I'm painting with inks and works perfectly. Okay, go ahead, but it's wrong. So this is why the companies, or in arts, we created the primer, and it's completely different, the acrylic, and for sure the inks. Okay. As you see, I'm using just the painting from the pot without water, and I have to add 2 layers sometimes. So for that reason, I don't recommend you paint with water or glazing or similar. Let me see if I'm painting everywhere well. I think it's okay. Okay, next layer. Let me move all my pots there. Okay. Whoop. Let me move my keyboard. Yeah, Barbara, that guy told me it's completely wrong. So the primer, it's the primer, and the inks are the inks. So it's completely different. So don't use inks as primer. Maybe this is the reason why then when you use the airbrush, it's really tough to control it, because you remove all the pores. Okay. Let me see if I can move. Let me see a second if I can move my camera a bit else. Whoop. There. Whoop. Wait. Too much zoom for that mini. It's really tiny. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to add the next layer. Lightwoods, you are wrong, just that, so I don't have to explain more. It's different. The acrylic, than inks, than primer. It's different. Just that. I don't recommend you that. So I have to say again. So primer is something completely different. And this is why we use the primers. I'm thinking if I have to add a bit of this color, okay, or use, I'm going to remove that one, or just going up with, for example, this one, or maybe this one. Okay, the idea about that question is because if I continue adding there saturated colors like that one, maybe it will be too pinky. And if I add that one, will be like desaturation, so maybe it will be easier to control as a skin tone. So maybe I'm going to mix at the beginning with something like this one, because has more color inside. And then if I add this one, will be easier to increase the value, but I will remove the color, the saturation. So I have two possibilities. At the beginning, play with this one, and then mix with this one to increase the desaturated colors, and that one for the value. Both will do the same, but if you don't want to add more value, more white, this is the option. And if you want to add more contrast, more value, more light, that one could work. Okay. Okay, a bit of ruby. I'm going to add this one, the old rose. Okay, perfect. So the idea is using the same colors plus that. I'm going to move to another place just to do it easier for you, because maybe if I create that mix, will be easier just to check it. I don't have the previous one, so I move that color there, and I'm going to add more from this one. Daniel, value means just white or black. How much near of white? More value, talking about light, and black, talking about shadow. This is the value. And then we have other things to get contrast, like the saturation, the temperature, and other things. I'm going to check if the value, the contrast, it's okay with that saturated color. Maybe it's too close for the previous one. And how much small is the miniature? Higher should be the contrast. For me, that one it's too low, but nah, it's okay. I'm going to paint more layers and just that. Okay, I painted another layer with the same color to increase a bit more the value. I hope you can see well with that camera, because the miniature is so tiny. Okay. In that view, at that angle, I think you will see better. So what I did, I'm trying to paint like I don't know that area from the scale in English. Sorry, in English and in Spanish is the la cien. So maybe in English could be similar if came from the Latin, but I'm not sure. Okay, I'm trying to represent that area with a shadow, but that shadow should be like a mid-tone. Okay, so nothing like black. Maybe that color could be okay, but if not, if it's too dark, maybe I will use a filter to blend there. So this is what I do. Okay, I keep that shadow there, but not here near of the ear. And then the cheekbone. And then there, near of the nose. Okay, just the first layer. Another trick. Here under the eyebrow, this is something that I like to do that came from the makeup. For the makeup for the girls. I like to paint, there, as you see, with a light there. If you paint here under the eyebrow, the light, you see how the eyebrow looks more or less defined. It's another trick. Let me see if I can move that lamp to have more light and maybe will look more defined or focused. Okay, I'm going to use water now. Again, new mix. The value is so close, so I don't like to play with that value. I like to play with higher value. So I'm going to add more from this one. When you make mixes, please create mixes. Don't create mixes like that. I was doing a painting workshop here in my studio, and was so funny when I've seen a student making mixes like that. So you are painting miniatures, but your color palette is big, so you can make bigger mixes. You don't have to make mixes like that. So you bought the color, so you spend the money. The most interesting is spend the whole color inside of the pot. Don't keep it on your house until 20 years or something similar. So please, you can make mixes like that. You don't have to add mix around the whole pot palette, but at least something like that to load well your brushes. Okay, then, because maybe it's too pinky, I'm going to add a bit of this color to control the value and the temperature, and for sure the saturation. I don't want to have too much pink on that tonality. I'm going to check if the value is okay. If not, I'm going to add more. Okay, now I think it's okay. So you see, you can see perfectly the brush strokes. So there, here we go. Another area where I like to add lighting, it's between the eyes and the nose. So there, I'm going to show you. Okay, that lining that I've painted there, it's to separate well the eyes from the nose. It's so tiny, I think, that miniature for that camera, or with that zoom. Someone knows if I can add music for the streams without license, or with license that YouTube it's okay with them? I think now my camera is focusing that weapon and the sword. So it's really difficult, that model, at least the face, it's really difficult. About the precision, it's just time. Just relax and enjoy painting. If you want to paint in 30 minutes, the whole model is impossible painting like I'm doing, okay? So you have to spend enough time. So like a relaxed time. So you see the point of my brush, it's a number 1, and you see that the point is so cool. This is a Winsor & Newton. So for sure there are other companies, but I'm using Winsor & Newton for more than 15 years or 40 years, 14 years, and I continue using exactly the same company. I heard that other companies are cool, but I continue using the product that for me, has a lot of value. It's like the primer. So a lot of people say, don't buy the Games Workshop primer, you can buy something cheaper. Maybe, but for me the primer is so important. So I prefer to spend 2, 3, 4 years else in the can, in the spray can, and have a really nice quality. So if you see, many times I'm going there to thin my point or to sharp my point. For example, if you want to blend something, like on that area of the head, what I recommend you is just dip the brush inside of the water. I'm going to do it with the other camera. Okay, dip it, okay, go in there. Now with that color, for me, this is like dirty water. For me, it doesn't work. If you see now, this is how looks the filter. For me, it's too low. I would like to add more color inside. And now with this one, it's what I'm going to use as a filter. I prefer call them like filters because in my opinion, I'm not blending anything. So I'm using layers, transparent layers over the previous color. And for me, it works more like a filter than like a glaze, or I don't try to blend anything. But if you want to call them like glaze, because maybe in English is better in your language, in my own language, for me, makes sense more or less. More or less for the way that I work. So if I'm going to use oils, for sure will be glazing or blending. But in my case, with acrylic, the way I work is not blending. So because I paint like that, paint one layer and I stop to paint until that layer is completely dried. And if I have to add another one, will be in another place with the same dilution, but on the surface completely dried. So I don't want to play with wet layers on my miniatures, because with acrylic, in my opinion, is not the best way to do it. With oils or other mediums that you have retardants in the painting could work, but with acrylic, in my opinion, it's better just keep it drying like that. Now paint another one, and you have blended just with 2 layers. This is the kind of the glazing or filters or dilution that I use to blend, not for base coats. So this is why I don't like glazing, because glazing makes sense once you created something. If you didn't do it, doesn't make sense. Again, it's my opinion, just that I'm talking for myself. About painting, I know a lot. This is just for the experience, because I continue being professional in that sector or field. Just that. So I was painting many years, and I've painted thousands of miniatures. Thousands of miniatures looking for the best quality, okay? Not thousands of miniatures like for tabletop or similar. I was painting thousands of miniatures for tabletop my first year, maybe my first and second year. Just that. Then I try to discover different ways to paint and improve, and continue improving. And for sure I continue improving. Okay? Then I'm going to add another layer. Oops, sorry. There, I'm going to clean my brush a second. Okay. I'm going to add exactly the same color, the old rose, because I don't have it. Okay, come on. I see 82 viewers and only 53 likes. Come on, what happened? Just share with your friends. Tell to everybody, hey, Sergio's here. Okay, I'm going to use that color too. The sickly pink. Or maybe not. Another trick. Chan chan. Ready. As you see, I create my own tools, and maybe you can buy something similar or use a clip and just that. This is a needle without point. Maybe I'm going to add other area with other color just to show you better. Okay, now I'm going to use that color plus a bit from this one to remove the excess of the pink. If you see in that color temperature, I don't want to use oranges or yellows because I would like to do something colder. This is important. Again, here you have the water. My idea always when I'm loading my brush is clean my brush to remove the dried painting. Go there on the area where I have the wet bed. And now, without the water, I'm going to load, remove the excess, and paint. Or maybe I can keep it there to show you that I'm not touching that area. Whoop. Okay, there. So now the next layers, I'm going to paint just there on the forehead and maybe on the cheekbone and just that. You see it? I loaded the brush again. And then I'll try to paint there between the eye and the nose. Okay, there. You see? I don't try to remove everything from the previous layer. The idea is repaint like 90%, 80, something, but always keeping the... I'm thinking to remove that that arm, to don't focus in there the face. Always I like to paint the miniatures with everything assembled, but it's true that for the cameras, maybe without that will be easier. Okay, you start to see the differences from one side to the other side, just adding the next layer. I'm going to do the same here. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to add the final highlighting. For this highlighting, I will add just that color. Just that. You see that I'm working without water, and later I'm going to check if I need to add water in some places. I'm going to add a bit of water just to remove the... I'm going to clean my brush to remove the dried painting, because I need to paint just a bit on the eyelid. Okay. Okay, this is what I will do. Okay, you can see for the face. Looks a bit lighter than should be. I think just for the black on this element, for the black in general. Okay, so maybe with the white on the back looks lighter. Let me see if I can fix it with the camera. Let me a second. Okay, now looks more realistic. This is how it should look. Let me see if doing more zoom you can see better. Okay. Okay, there you have the first part of this face. Now I'm going to paint the hair. If you want to blend... Okay, I'm going to blend later. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to blend with my brush. How I'm going to integrate different colors and all that things. Okay, now I'm going to paint another layer for the... I'm going to paint the first layers for the beard and the hair. Let me show you. I'm going to start with a color like that, French blue. I'm going to start with that French blue. Okay, I'm going to remove again the water. That French blue. Whoop. Okay, French blue. If you see, it's really dark because I want to keep it on the shadows to draw all the outlinings. I'm going to keep a bit of the black just to show you that maybe if you want to paint white, sometimes if it's really tiny, you could keep the previous white too, the previous black too, okay, for the white. It's something that I don't want to keep it in general, but for few layers, for few shadows, maybe could work. If not, later I'm going to remove it. You see why it's so important keep the outlinings? Just with the first layer, I can draw more or less the beard. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to paint the other color for that wraps that has on the beard. Okay. Sorry if in some moments I'm moving too fast the miniature. The area to work with that zoom is so tiny, so it's really easy go out of the camera. Okay. Something that I don't like. Okay, I would like to explain it. When you paint hair like that one, for example, you see that I've painted like lines, okay? And some of them looks just black. What happened? If you want to keep it just color as the final highlighting, could work because it's the shadow for that lighting. However, if you want to continue increasing the lightings, layers, if you add 4 layers, for example, at the end you will find pure white near of the black. So we look more like a damage, like a scratch, than like a volume coming from that hair. This is why I recommend you now, if you want to continue increasing the layers on that forehead or the center of that head, I recommend you remove them like that. Oops, sorry. Oops, I don't know how to move the miniature to show you. Okay, I'm removing in that center because I would like to keep that color, that which one works as a light now, will work as a shadow later. This is why I'm removing now the whole black on the forehead. Okay. I'm going to paint the colors for the wraps on the beard with, for example, something like that brown and just that. Just to add other color, just that, nothing else. Okay. Okay, so the next layer, I'm going to mix just to do it something easier. Okay, I would like to. Okay, I was thinking to mix that grays with that pink. This is the result, just to show you. I was thinking to mix it just to show you that we can do it. At the end, we look more like a gray tonality with violet, no, with violet or blues. Okay, something like that. So for me, it works perfectly. So I will paint just easy with that. Why? Because that mixing, that color doesn't have too much color, and I know that the result will look completely desaturated. And for me, it works perfectly as a gray. So if I have to use a color, I'm going to use that one. But to give you something easier, I could paint with another gray and just that. I'm going to show you the differences just to see. And it's depend of the mix. I'm going to use one or the other one. For example, if I use that medium gray, hello to everybody that joined it now. Thank you for all the people that it's on Patreon watching that stream and the people that joined it. So I'm seeing that Brent joined it to Patreon. So thank you. I hope surprise you. I hope you will enjoy a lot. A lot of people from Patreon here are on the chat because I'm recognizing names that they are inside. So thank you for all the people that support us to help us to continue growing and give us the possibility to do that streams and more things that we'll do in the future. Thank you very much. Okay, this is the difference. I can mix that color, but at the end it's just like a gradient with more blue or more white and more white and more white. However, if you mix with that one, you change the temperature, you change more things, and in my opinion, it's more interesting playing with different colors than just adding white, and more white. For me, that way is boring, just that. So a lot of people do, and maybe have to do it, I will do. But in general, I prefer play with colors. And if I have them on my color palette, better. So I'm going to use that color, and then I will add more blue, that kind of blue or gray. Which one works more for white for me than, like an off-white, than another color. Oops, I forgot to show you the model. Scary Dragon, not, I didn't remove them. Another viewer was laughing at the beginning because told me, I've seen a mold line on the leg. But remember, remove all the mold lines before to paint your miniatures. Your miniatures. Do what I'm saying, not what I'm doing. So you see, once you apply that layer, that gray, doesn't look like pinky or similar, looks like gray, just that. And because we play with different temperatures, we can increase the contrast. So this is why for me it's really interesting playing with temperatures at the same time that you are adding more value in your mixes, because you will have double contrast and you don't have to increase the value a lot to have that contrast. Okay, can you see the differences once I'm applying the next layer? Start to look whiter. Remember that I'm showing you the miniature really big, okay? So this is the real size Okay, so maybe I have to show you many times like the real size, because maybe at home is like, meh, he's painting okay. Maybe I can do it better with glazing or whatever, something like that. So this is the real size, okay? So it's really, really tiny. So this is why sometimes I show you my fingers. Sorry, my fingers are not beautiful like my miniatures, but sometimes I have to show them comparing with something because they are really, really tiny, okay? Maybe that camera is like, it's okay. I'm going to paint the hair. Let me see the angle to show you. Maybe there. Perfect. Okay, you see I tried to draw like a crown. Okay. I would like to paint some hairs starting from the head in the center, like to represent tension on the hair. Like, I don't know if you can see, it's really difficult with that small size. Okay, like that. Perfect. So next layer, because it's something really, really tiny, instead to add that gray, I'm going to add the ivory just ahead to paint the final highlightings. Tip. I'm a human. Okay, maybe you think that I'm not a human, but I'm a really human. I'm not using glasses or magnifies or things like that. Okay, Mr. Thanks asking me if I'm using magnifying glasses. I'm not using. So I'm just trying to paint shorter to the miniatures with enough light. So the light for me is really important. So more than other things. It's like when you are filming or when you are taking photos. The lamps, it's everything. So here I'm working with 4 lamps. This is just for the camera to show you everything with enough lights and everything. But if you want to paint at home and just for fun, to enjoy, relaxing at home after the work and everything, I recommend you paint with 2 lamps. One of this side, okay, and the other one on the other side. This is how I work with these lamps at the same time, instead to use a lamp here on the center. Why? Because when you add a lot of light inside of near your eyes try to go down or reduce the iris to see less light. So it's difficult to see. The idea is have an area completely clear with light, really illuminated, so really lighted, but not in your eyes. This is why I have the lamps out of me, and usually I try to move them a bit farther from me on my back and moving to the center, to move the light to the center of the scene, to my desk, not to my eyes. This is something that a lot of painters do. I don't know why. Maybe they don't understand why the differences or how the eyes works. I don't know. The idea, the light never to your eyes. Sounds like a joke, but I'm seeing many painters with lamps like here, and sometimes like the light, it's moving to their eyes. As I said, I have a lot of I have some painting workshops in my studio, and I have some lamps here. So every student has at least one lamp, because I have like 6 or 8 lamps for desk. So some of them, they move to their eyes like that, watching the eyes. I don't know why. So the idea is just moving on yours, both sides, moving to the miniature. So both lamps will be like that, not like that, because I'm going to move to that camera. But this is how I work, okay? So with enough light, you can represent everything on your model. Everything. If you need glasses, just do it for sure. But I'm trying to paint close to my miniature, like, I don't know. So I'm painting like here, but I don't know how to explain it. So I'm painting like in that distance, okay? This is how I paint. So I don't paint there, okay? Or there. So I don't paint like that. I don't paint like that. Sorry, I'm not an artist. I'm painting miniatures. I'm just that. So I try to paint here with enough size, the brush with a nice size. Number 1, it's okay. Smaller, if you want for something like that, it's okay. But as you see, with a number 1, it's okay. And number 2, with these 2 brushes will be okay. With a nice tool, remember, spend money on your brushes. Don't try to buy the cheapest or the, okay, with that brushes is enough for me today. Not, because your tool, if it's not a good quality, to paint miniatures, it's really difficult. To paint canvas or to paint other things, maybe, because you don't have to use the point of your brushes like we work or as we do with the miniatures. This is the reason why you have to spend enough money on your brushes. If you find better brushes than mine, please send me a message with the link, because I would like to test them. I would like to know how they work. This is really important. The tool, it's your brush, not the airbrush, not the colors, not other things like mediums, just your brushes. Just with brushes and really cheap acrylic, you will work really well. And just acrylic with water, it's okay. I'm not using mediums or similar. So remember, the brushes, this is the only tool that you have to invest a lot of time. A lot of money, just that. And about the airbrush, if you buy cheaper airbrushes, but you can clean them easy, will work at the beginning perfectly. Then I'm going to recommend you something a bit higher, more expensive, not like mine or just exactly mine airbrush. I was working with that airbrush more like 8 years or 9 years. I'm not sure exactly, but around 8 years. And I continue using exactly the same needle and the same every tool, the same airbrush as I bought it. So for me, worth it. Much better than other airbrush that some people it's recommending, because then to clean them it's harder. For me, an airbrush should be easy to clean, just that. Then if the needle is better or not, it's okay, but something easy to clean with the acetone, for me it's the key, because it's the problem with airbrush. Clean them. At the beginning works really well, but then when you have to clean them, doesn't work well. This is when the people destroy their brushes and they have to buy new ones, and then they spend more money. My airbrush, I don't know, was like 200, 240 or 220, I'm not sure. It's around 200. And more than 8 years. Working as I work. Really hard, really fast, and really fast. Really fast. I'm a professional, so I'm trying to paint faster. But again, I'm trying to do my best, so with enough time. As I said, talking again about the ivory. I think I did it. It's there. And for sure, invest enough money for a good lamp. So the light should be nice quality. Mines are from Philips. The temperature, the Kelvin, it's like 6,004 Kelvin. And the Celsius, I'm not sure. So just check it. It's LED. Previously I was working with other lamps, but always from Philips. This is at least my favorite. Maybe in the future I will change for Osram or other ones, but don't try to buy the cheapest. Remember, your eyes for all your life, and the lamps will keep, I don't know, working many years. All that lamps or lights has more than 4 years working 8-10 hours per day, just turning up, turning on. So I think you can invest like 20 euros per lamp and will be okay. Okay. About the temperature, between cold or warm, it's between. So like a daylight, it's maybe the name. It's like 6040 Kelvin. If it's 6500 Kelvin. If it's 5 or 4 or 3 or 6, I think all of them will work. Mines are 6500 Kelvin. 5 or 4? I'm not sure now. It's or 4 or 5 because I was working with some of them at the beginning and now I'm working with others. So I'm not sure if it's 4 or 5, but both will work. From Philips. So I think it's the only reference that they have with that temperature. Okay. At the end will look more like Gerald de Rivia, that one, than a barbarian. Okay. Okay, I'm going to paint the final highlighting for that white color, but as you see, so now it started to look lighter, more like white. So this is the idea. You have to understand the white like a gray gradient, not like white and then trying to add contrast. If you add pure white, it's so tough. If you understand everything like a gradient with grays, with more saturation or less, but always talking about grays, would be easier to get that gray feeling or white feeling. I'm using ivory, okay? I'm not using white, so I could increase a bit else with pure white. But I think doesn't need it. And we keep the pure white only for the non-metallic metal to increase the value on metallics. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you with a small size. Maybe I should paint the mouth. He has an open mouth. I'm going to paint really fast. Okay. Now I think you will see better. I'm going to show you with a small size, not too much, but with enough. You see? Let me move the lamps again. Okay. So there you have it. Now it's time to add few glazing or filters to increase the tonalities. But as you see, with maybe 4 layers or 3 layers on the face and 3 layers on the white color, you see? What do you think about that? I should paint the eyebrows. I forgot them. Okay. Oops. Yes, right. I forgot the eyebrows. Okay, there you have them. For the eyebrows, I use I think one of these previous colors, more like gray. Works like a white because comparing with the skin tones looks lighter, but it's more like gray. Okay, so now I'm going to add, if someone have questions, just ask me. I'm going to add few colors as tonality to show you how we can add more tonalities on the skin. Okay, on the skin, that face, in that case. Okay. Okay, for example, I'm going to use these colors. That red, maybe one of these green turquoises, and that green. Just to add tonalities on the skin. I'm going to use the blue-green It's like a turquoise. Blue, green, green, blue. It's depend of the companies. For me, it's like a turquoise. Maybe someone will say it's not like a turquoise because blah 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 blah. Like a turquoise. Just that. You don't have to feel too worried about the name of the colors. If could be like a turquoise, turquoise. Just that. Because we have many options talking about turquoises. With more greens, with more skin tones, with more yellows, oranges inside, with more blue, whatever, just turquoise. Vale. For example, if you want to add more tonalities on the chin, the cheekbone, I'm going to add like filters. Okay, for that, the idea is use water, move there, as I told you, add color there. And for that glazing, if you want, you can add like a 70% of water, maybe 8 if you are worried, just adding more glazing. But if you see, I'm tinting the hue, it's a lot, okay? So I'm not painting with that, okay? This doesn't make sense. It's like dirty water. It's like doing nothing. Okay, so you see perfectly, okay? Okay, I'm going to add that color. And for example, just a layer. I'm going to move to another area, for example, the ear, another filter or layer. For the nose, the peak of the nose and both flaps. Okay, you see that I added a new color or tonality. Now it's time drying and adding another layer. If you want to increase the color, for example, I'm going to add more color in the mix. You see how it changes the skin tone, adding that filters. This is something that I like to add at the end. Now makes sense, use glazing, filters, playing with dirty water, as I said, okay? Not dirty water because I don't like it, but to explain me, so more filters like that. If you are worried about the color and you don't know if it will fit, just use the dilution, as I said, like dirty water, and will work really well. You will have to add many layers and just that, okay? Here you have the example. Now I'm going to do exactly the same with turquoises. And I'm going to add as a filter, for example, the near of the hair. Oh, better. I'm going to add a tattoo. I'm going to remove that. To remove color is just adding water a lot before that is dried. Okay, and just that is remove it. I'm going to add green and I'm going to add some tattoos. I'm going to add green, go to the other side. Okay, for the hair. On the other side. Okay, and you see how looks the tonalities, adding that filters on both sides. And now, for example, if you want to add a freehand or similar, like a war paint, I'm going to add just something easy like spiral or a line here, and just that. For example, I'm going to add it on that eye, like a line, just that, to add like a war paint. Oops, I touched the white. Okay, so this is how I will do. I hope you like it. I hope surprise you with the tonalities you see. So remember, this is the finger or the other finger. I'm going to move with that hand. For me, it will be easier to move it. Okay, so it's really tiny, and you see the tonalities that I've painted. That looks more or less like blended, or I think works. And this is how I work. So painting with the copy bases, painting with that thick layers, and just that. So I hope you have surprised with that stream. I hope you like it. I hope you like the models from that company. You have the Kickstarter link on the description. Thank you very much to watch that stream. So that one was everything. I'm going to say bye-bye here. So again, the lights, not like that for your eyes, more like that. And just you will see how you improve a lot using more light on your desk. So again, thank you very much to watch that stream. I will show you here the final result. Whoop. Oh, not with that camera. Where is there? Okay, there you can compare. So it's really tiny. So you can see perfectly how small is that model. So I hope you have enjoyed watching that one, you learned something, and see you in the next stream. Remember that we are uploading video tutorials on YouTube too, and on Patreon for sure. So if you want to join to Patreon to see what content with a lot of value we're creating, just welcome, thank you to join. And if you want to help us on YouTube experience or with that new step on our career, just help us to share our content, our tutorials with your friends, and subscribe if you want. Thank you very much, and see you in the next stream. Bye bye. Adios.